All right, we've got round 6, Acersons versus M1 Abrams, playing on Silent Citadel. All right, we've got Acerson Team 1 in the blue, M1 Abrams in the orange corner over on the right. Silent Citadel, 5 points, 2 up top, 1 in the middle, 2 down the bottom. Fairly blocky terrain, so we'll see what they have. Looks like 2, 3 plus. Oh, all right, we won't do maths. All right, here we are. Let's check out Team 1. Where is Acerson? He is over here. So starting off with, I think, destroyers here. Beam destroyers with 250s and defenders. So the 20mm slugs. He's got some offensive missiles on both of those. So it looks like on each side, likely just having 4 of these all playing together. 4 beams, same loadouts. Check out his fleet down the bottom. That is interruption jammer, blanket jammer, locking, and a small 120mm guns. Bit of offensive capability. Looks like another carbon copy there. So it looks like they will be spotting ships, maybe a bit of EWA. That is a torpedo on that front mount there, and then missiles and 250s. So designed to capture and supported with a beam with more torpedoes and locking EWA to support that. Interesting, he's got 120mm guns on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's his full fleet. So it looks like these 3 beams? 4 beams. These 4 beams will be running through, keeping it quite tight. They've got the close range support, long range support in terms of the missiles, and then these 2 support ships down the bottom with the light cruiser supported by a beam. We have a quick look at Gamma. He's firing off some exploratory thunderheads. He's got his smoke we've seen before, a dual 120 mils and some point defense, so a capping ship effectively. There's Sting, which has a pinard and missiles. The pinard should actually be facing upwards, so that ship should roll, but being quick, moving to point C. Starting to capture point E over here with Jalapeno, which is very much another capping ship, probably nice and cheap in terms of defender with a bit of point defense. Those stray missiles, 120s for a bit of offensive capability, counter frigate, counter corvettes, and a VLS 23. The thunderheads firing in the middle, haven't found any marks yet. So 1, 2, 3, we've got Spigot. We've seen Spigot before. Again, VLS 23, VLS 16s with offensive missiles, being thunderheads, maybe a few hurricanes with a pinard. And the bulk of his fleet, who we've seen again, Ghost, Shade, and Abaddon, this formation are usually doing pretty well, actually. So all the guns and locking capabilities with some missiles in the rear. And the EWA support vessel, which has 3 blankets, do all the jamming that he needs, and an interruption jammer to counter the missiles. So let's have a look. There's 1 point already to Abrams. Some missiles coming out from Acerson hitting Jalapeno, or missing Jalapeno, I should say. Going into point A. So point A is being captured, uncontested, but the beams are coming, and the Jalapeno at that range is likely. I wish we could see how far that distance is, but if I was to guess, like 4 kilometers, that front line should be able to see it. So this flotilla here is going to be seen by the Jalapeno, which is just poking its head just up. So it's going to see it. We've got smoke on the other side of the battlefield, which is going to no doubt see this light cruiser. If you've seen our tutorial on this, you will see that light cruisers get spotted fairly easy. Some HE RPF, radio proximity fuses, would be good for this quick moving target, likely going, you know, around like 40 plus meters per second. But a couple HE strikes hitting with the 250s, and the supporting ship with the 120s is also good. We've got a big missile dump here firing with a mix of thunderheads, all thunderheads by the looks of it, and some ripostes coming out. So the weaker ship here will be this one, but we've got Auroras. It doesn't look like we have any flak, and that's the downside of a light cruiser, is that these supporting modules don't actually provide a lot of extra point defense. Chaff doing what it needs to do, missing, causing it to divert and miss. The riposte being fired out a bit wasted there, unfortunately, but that's just how the game is operating, unless he'd set that to point. But no doubt has his point defense missiles set to zone. Now, with all of these, they're running roll-offs, no VLS 16s, so once these are done, there's no reload time. They can just keep dumping. So now with the Thunderheads missing, I'm going to try for a Hurricane and Squall mix. So the benefit here of firing both of these at the same time is that Squalls are super cheap and the Hurricanes are fairly expensive. So the Squalls will target the Ghast if there is any jamming that is directed, if they don't have the intelligence to see that, to identify that these are missiles. The types of missiles. Whereas the Hurricanes won't be affected by chaff at all. Now it looks like, where are they going? Going the wrong way. Looks like the Squalls are missing. The interruption jammer here will affect a few of the Hurricanes, I think. All the Squalls went wide, and so did some of the Hurricanes. I didn't see where the rest of them went, but I think the interruption jammer has caused it to peel around. You just go a little bit wider. Abrams has lost smoke. Abrams has lost smoke, but a small trade-off to keep these busy. He's got 4 points. He's now engaging. He's got Sting down here with these missiles, but the Nabal has got the 120s. You can see the burning right there. And that's those 120s, whilst they're not massive, will take out the Sting. So Sting's down, so 2 corvettes. That's freeing up a large portion of this map to now be captured, and we can see that the Nabal is now taking over point C. Point A, we've seen Abrams now pull back with this main flotilla here of Abaddon, Shade and Ghast. Some additional Hurricanes going out, not anywhere in particular, which is an interesting one. But the Jalapeno now, I reckon, will go towards B. It is open, there is nothing there. The main threats from it would be these missiles, but they've already expended a fair amount, and we've got the 250 over here for the and a few missiles from this light cruiser. It's not really going to be able to do much other than fire on here, but I think the Jalapeno would be right, and I think that would be a smart move. Spigot firing some Thunderheads. Going to waypoint these around. Now, he does have some blanket jamming. Has taken some frontal damage in terms of maneuvering. Here come the Thunderheads. Is he going to react? Couple good hits. No jamming there. That's 3 good hits on the Nabal. So point B captured for Acerson. E's falling as well, as is A. But the Jalapeno will move into B with no countermeasures down here. Abrams is going to wisely use Spigot, fire off a couple more Thunderheads. Be good to take that one out because I think the point defense here is probably going to be strong enough. Yeah, see, with the Thunderheads, you've got the point defenders, you've got blanket jammers.
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
Oh, but he got a hit. He got a strike. That's pretty good. He got 2, actually. So that defender didn't do too much. That Thunderhead missed. That Thunderhead missed. And we've got a counter missiles being fired here. Jalapeno still taking B. The beam destroyer fleet taking A. Riposte being launched from the Spigot, as is Chaff. So standard missile counterplay there.
The enemy secured Zone Boxer.
Oh, we missed this one. Of course, how can we forget the Steampunk? So Steampunk, the staple of the M1 Abrams fleet. He's basically played the same fleet largely from what I can see, and it's working for him. So with here Thunderheads and 450s being hit into the Kith Card. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but these ships are largely not doing anything and now just getting pummeled. So this missile strike is largely going to be strong enough to take out the like both of these ships here. You can see it's Acerson's trying to move out of the back, but the frigate's taken 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4, and is now suffering from the 250s, 120s. As the light cruisers here come into support, that's going to quickly shred there, and the Kith Kahad has been taken out. Those missiles and 450s are doing that job really, really nicely. So now freeing up the ability to capture point E, take that back, separating his main fleet here from the destroyers. So if we talk about tactics for a second, these beams, 4 beams, is quite powerful, particularly with the composition of the various different pieces of the various different missiles that they have. By moving all his main fleet over to the other side of the map, he's put a fair amount of distance. So that's what, 9 kilometers. He's put 9 kilometers between basically the main issue and what he needs to capture. He's got the lead. He's got 2 points. He has the ability to take 2 points as well as destroy another ship down here. And you can see that the light cruisers will now start to crest around and be able to dive down here to capture point C, whilst they are still finishing off this ship up here, which is still alive, but the light cruiser is done. Now this forces the beams here to move all the way across the map, whilst he still has the freedom of mobility. With the Spigot and the Jalapeno to recapture these points. So as we can see that these destroyers move off point A and start to move through the middle of the map, Jalapeno just takes that back. And you can't split this fleet up because their main power is actually staying together. So the fact that they can fire in this formation is the strength. What we've got here, however, is all of these ships now being able to provide the standoff distance to engage. So if you were Abrams, you would want to start to be able to engage with your 450s and 250s, each engaging either a separate or a combined target, either one, getting as far as you can and knocking out as many as those frontal beams as humanly possible. Alright, Spigot here could be under the pump. We're looking for the Thunderhead. There's the Thunderhead. So Chaff coming out. He recognizes it. Needs to start moving, however. No, it doesn't. Chaff's good enough. That's... Ooh, okay, so we're within the 6 kilometers here, but at the very edge, you can see that they've largely missed. Alright, Spigot is safe. Missed all those points. Got B still captured, firmly in the center. C uncontested for Acerson. M1 Abrams going for E and A simultaneously. And now the Thunderhead's coming out. Beams here focusing the Steampunk. And look, we've got some HE RPF, so 250s. Watch that explode. There we go. Start to destroy those frontal beams. But this ship here can take a fair beating, but 4 beams still quite powerful. He needs to keep as much distance between his ships and that sort of death ball, I guess you could call it. If he can do that, he can win the game. Try to grab those missiles. Thunderheads will move around. I think there is more than enough defensive point defense here that will survive. Yeah, I don't see the Abaddon firing. We've got Shade still going. Probably needs to battle short that turret just a little bit more. Ooh, just survived. Do we actually have any point defense on this ship? Can't see, so it's raining here. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but he is destroying the ship here on point E. Needs to get rid of that. Spigot now coming under the 120mm fire. 120s, no, 250s. That'll make short work. The Spigot could actually move away, get out into cover. He has taken point A back, and has destroyed the Kith. I don't know where these ships are coming from. I got to ask him, but Kith Capisi has been destroyed, so that's now allowing point E to be captured. Steampunk looks like it's got away at the moment, but it's not moving. Engines aren't dead because it still has its lights on, so that's a good visual indicator. The beams are still coming out, and something needs to be done about those beams, or he needs to start to fire on that. It's a bit of a trade though for a heavy cruiser for a frigate. He is rolling. We just do a quick damage assessment. That bottom turret's destroyed. That top turret's destroyed. You can see by the smoke. He's still got the ability to lock, but he is bringing the 450 around. These ones can now probably reposition, go elsewhere. Yeah, see that's dead, and he's got to recognize that, but probably not focusing on that because of the point, because of the beams. And look, that's fair enough. I would be a little bit stressed under this situation as well. There we go. Steampunk has been destroyed. Some beams have hit something in that ship, causing it to go critical. And always a cool animation, and one that will blind you if you are not sitting in a well-lit room playing at night. You will go visually blind for a short period of time as the light takes out your retinas. Maybe. Not a biologist. So smart moves getting these ships here out and around. They've captured point E. Jalapeno here has the ability now to dive down. If it has any offensive capability left, now's probably the time before the 120s here start to engage. Does it have any guns? It does. So it does have guns. So almost an even match, but the frigate will have a higher damage resistance, higher armor. So in a lot prolonged battle between these two here, without the use of missiles, I would expect the frigate to win. Spigot is taking some more damage from the beams. Yep, it's destroyed. Off it goes. The Kith Nabal is continuing to survive, and the 250s here should be firing. I wonder if they've got any locks. Have a look. I think he's got the beam on that one. Defenders being fired, so we know some missiles are coming out. He's got some hurricanes coming in. Mix of defenders and auroras, pretty good mix there. Looks like they'll easily be able to take out all of the various different missiles. Yep, no issues there. Jalapeno taking some damage, but also trading some damage. Drives are looking a little bit worse for wear here, but I think the Jalapeno is probably suffering more damage. Like we spoke about before, that one, the frigate will have higher armor, it'll have higher damage resistance. It'll just be a bit, but it'll still be enough. But it's diving down for D, so it's going to try and capture that point back, get another one. He's almost at 500. Where else have we got? Keith Nabal looks like it'll move towards B. Smart move. So C says it's captured for orange, but it's captured for blue, and we know that. It could also come up and capture there. The Abaddon now putting some distance between itself and the destroyers. The fact that these here have 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we've got 8 turrets here versus 1, 2, 3. It's probably about even in terms of firepower. There's just more holes. Excuse me. Now the beams are in range, and that's that'll be the deciding factor here. Is whilst they can bring the same amount of guns to bear, the fact that the beams here will be the ones that'll decide this battle.
The enemy secured zone dagger.
So looks like maybe the front beam's gone for that one. Still functioning. Oh, potentially gone. I think they're all still functional. A's being now captured, so Jalapeno taking point D, but doing a lot quicker than the Kith Karan on point A. So just a trade there, still with a 3-2. The Nabal definitely going up to point E. The Jalapeno needs to take something out potentially over there, or swing back around and take that one out. That would also work. Smoke is destroyed, but like it's being fired on. So good use of terrain here. You can see that these ships here have now moved behind this asteroid and will now pop back around. The thing here is, will this be predicted? It's going to take a lot longer for this team here to turn and move. Yes, they'll be able to use their 250s with their HE, but yeah, they're all missing. The strength of this beam fleet is obviously in the beams, and the beams here are not being focused towards their primary target. They've also only exposed one light cruiser. So what, is something wrong with the shade? No, the shade's fine. Oh, they look like they're starting to suffer a fair amount of damage. You can see one starting to break from that formation, starting to do its own thing, but Hurricane's being launched. I think this is a bit of a misplay here. Shade is firing directly into that asteroid, and probably just due to the fact that it's in a formation, he's firing it. But the team here is still fine, still good to go. Jalapeno down here, looks like it's a little worse for wear. Can it see its frigate counterpart? Not yet, but it's coming down, so it'll soon be able to see Jalapeno. Acerson finally getting Nabal into the middle of point B. Point being captured, so this will swing for the first time 3 points to Acerson, 2 to Abrams. And it looks like these light cruisers are going to move across here. This is probably a good opportunity, if you can, to actually shoot this frigate. However, the main target, as always, is these beams. So in terms of, what should you focus on? Yeah, probably the main threat. And this is the main threat. You can get enough of these beams destroyed, then it's just a bit of a gun fleet, which, the light cruisers should do okay on. It always amazes me that no one sort of goes for the supporting ship. It is damaged, it's lost jammer, but otherwise it's fine. This will stop all the jamming and missiles going, awry. But we always, look, I do it too. I focus on the bigger light cruisers as opposed to anything else. Should I? No, I should probably take my own advice and get the support ships, but or at least injure them. But I hate some HE radio proximity fuses, RPF being fired, fairly cheap in points. I think they're like 100 units for like 1 point, so it's probably it's worth taking, because you can see the damage here with the change in the 250's ability to pierce damage reduction. It actually starts to destroy components now, overcoming the damage threshold for components. So components will have a damage threshold, different to like the hull integrity for putting in all the various different pieces of components. So once you get you need to not only pierce the armor, but you then have to overcome in one damage attack effectively a component, and from there you can destroy that component. And that's what we've got here. It's taken out the drives, it's taken out the interruption jammer, it's taken out all these different pieces here. It's still alive. RPF will just keep firing, but a couple HE rounds will probably fix that now. And what that's going to do is allow Jalapeno once again to move back up and take point A. I wouldn't... he's going for point B. That's fine, I think. That's a good play. This frigate here isn't doing much either. Jalapeno is fast enough that it can take that, and then you could get this fleet here over 2 points. Remembering this is an objective-based game, so fighting your enemy, especially when you're facing 4 beams, is a good way to do it. Especially 4 beams that are still functioning, or at least 2 that are still functioning. Oh, he's got some direct hits there. Mix of HE and RPF. And that'll take care of that beam. I'm not sure what its damage threshold is for the front, but, Beam lancing out there, it looks like it's catching it around the drives, but without some sort of lock, it's not, without some sort of lock, it's actually not hitting too much. It's just dancing around a lot. Jalapeno are now dueling the Kith Nabal. Looks like he's going to try and pull that away. No. Actually, let's go back to the Jalapeno. Stop dancing around so much. So if we have a look, the Jalapeno is definitely in the zone. The question is, will the Nabal also be considered in the zone once it enters? Does it have any offensive capability left? Whilst that plays out, we've got Shade and Abaddon now moving into point A. It looks like this ship here has either taken some damage and is slowing down, or is purposely being left behind. And it looks like I would say that the Jalapeno still has offensive capability, but the Nabal doesn't. Oh, sorry, going back. We want to see this here. Yeah, so it's definitely in the zone, but being captured to be. So, because it has offensive capability, and this one looks like it doesn't. So maybe its magazine's been hit, maybe its weapon's been hit. It's because its weapon's been hit, that's why. Now, the Nabal, Jalapeno capturing that can just shoot the Nabal. Beam still working. None of these are really destroyed at the moment. And that went straight through. We're getting a few in the front here. Trying to destroy some of these 250s. It looks like it's still functioning, to be honest. Still functioning, still functioning. 4-1 though. Jalapeno getting the Nabal there. You can see Nabal having enough, being grayed out on our screen. Jalapeno, I wonder if he's got any damage control on here because he's got some fires. He's taken some damage, but maybe he's fine. So now he's free to move Jalapeno to go capture C, which is down here, showing as orange, but it is still under Blue's command. The Aaron, dead in the water. Those RPF rounds really doing it. You can see the various bits of damage. That's where all that RPF would have hit. Really, we've got this duel between the 250s on both sides and a few beams. Okay, and he's finally got the Somtau. So 3 destroyers versus 2 light cruisers. Only looking in Abrams' favour, largely because he's got 4 capture points. He's not doing anything with the Jalapeno. He's probably just content to leave it there with 4 points to 1. It's probably more than enough. Captured point A, continuing to move out. It's probably about 6 kilometers there, maybe just a little bit more. So with that dead, you can see space oil or, you know, magic smoke. Always a good indicator. Zoom in, but to check for that. But you can see it. Life pods now ejecting. Funny enough that the DD. So the life pods say what ship it came from. You can see it says, you know, DD for destroyer, and then 1192, which you can match on the side. So if you ever actually zoom in, you can see who is who and who is what effectively. Looks like the Kithsa jet has been taking a fair amount of damage. I think that beam is gone on the front. 250 is gone on the top. It looks like it's peeling off now. The Soban here still has 1 250, 2 250s. Beam is likely gone. And still got 2 250s here, but the point defense is gone as well. If we have a look at the light cruisers, which... they just need to be careful that they don't go off the map. 250s here are all working. Damage control, obviously doing its part. Still got its point defense. Still got its... has lost its BLS-16, but if you don't have any missiles, you don't really care. Like some of the forward thrusters are gone, and 1 250 is gone, but still has 3 others. Sorry, there's 5 there. Yeah, there's 4 there. We've still got his 8 guns. Putting a bit of distance now between the various points. It looks like they're going to make a run for point B. Jalapeno now backing off, likely going down for point C. The light cruisers flanking around, you know, catching on a bit of an enfilade here. Where are they? There they are. So the beams here can't do much. If they don't have beams, it doesn't really matter. But basically, right, where are they? There they are. You know, the HE now hitting from a different side. They've taken a beating. You can see the scorch marks on Abaddon. Look at that. Just massive hits in here. We have a look at Shade. A little bit in the... like a lot of beams hit the rear section. But the other side's fine. So you could roll these round, but there you go. Battle's over. 1,000 points. That's a window to Abrams. Really good there. Those beams were a little bit scary for a little bit, especially when they got the steampunk, the heavy cruiser. But then the smart positioning of the light cruisers, absolutely fine. Absolutely great gameplay by Abrams. Played the objective and took home the win. So let's have a look. You can see here that let's have a look at the beams from Acerson. Yeah, it did a fair amount of... no, it didn't do too much damage. Took a lot of damage. Where is it? There's these other destroyers. Yeah, same deal. Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad there. You can see very early on the power of the drives all taken out on the light cruiser. Destroyed very early on the game at 10 minutes. Beams destroyed on basically 2 of the destroyers. Largely on the... So we had 3 functioning beams, but all the drives here look like they were destroyed. We lost these missiles there. And then here he lost, he still had this one functioning, like his guns were still functioning, but he lost power and he lost drives. Abrams, on the other hand, light cruiser, lost 1 drive, functioning the other. All his power was good, a few of the frontal mounts, but the rest was okay. Did a huge amount of damage. The Abaddon. Gast, which is the support ship, dealt no damage, but that's okay. That's what it's there for. Jalapeno did 3,000, held its own. Lots of damage to a lot of components. He no doubt had berthing and then a magazine. He probably had one of these here would probably damage control. And he had something else in here. It would be interesting to know what this actual build is. I wonder at the end of the tournament, can we actually get a list of all the fleets? Shade lost its rear mount with the VLS-16, so no more missiles. And drives a little bit slow, but largely okay. Power here was a little bit damaged, but okay. And then again, huge amount of damage. Smoke destroyed, but did its job and captured. The steampunk absorbed a huge amount of damage from all of these other beams, like all these beam damage that did a lot of this was absorbed by the steampunk. And if it had survived a little bit later, it would have been interesting to know how quickly the destroyers would have been taken out, or how that would have played out. Would they have eventually got the steampunk? Would they have got a light cruiser instead? But they caught it out very quickly, a high value target, and destroyed it. Sting lost its drive and the other parts and died gracefully, but again, all these corvettes, they did their jobs, they captured what they had to capture, and then when they died, it was at an acceptable time. So excellent victory to Abrams. Well done, Acerson. That was quite close. Those beams were quite scary. Hoping that the time zones line up a little bit more so we can get some more of these games to you. All right, that's all for today. Take care.